continued into 2024. Joining us now, Jamil Jaffer, founder and executive director of the National Security Institute and former associate counsel to President George W. Bush. Jamil, great to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, Kelly.
So I think the big question here is, does the cozying up of these two countries, China and Russia, pose a significant threat to the U.S. in your view?
Absolutely. I think it is probably the single largest threat to American national security out there today. This collaboration between two retrenching powers, China on one hand, are the biggest player on the block and likely our biggest competitor and challenger going forward, combining with Russia, a inveterate opponent of the United States, the country that invades countries' sovereignty on a regular basis. It did it with Ukraine back in 2014 when we didn't do anything about it. It did again in 2022. This is no surprise. China's been providing a tremendous amount of information and capabilities to Russia over time. Now we see the allegations that you pointed out that President Zelensky has made about weapons that hasn't been confirmed by the United States intelligence community. And yet we've always suspected that they might be providing more than just civilian supplies to Russia in the fight with Ukraine.
You know, what do you make of former President Joe Biden's statements in that BBC interview we aired just moments ago that it's dangerous for President Trump to say Ukraine needs to cede land to Russia to bring an end to this war?
Well, look, I think it's interesting. I used to work for President Bush. He made a point to not go out and criticize the current president while President Obama was in office. President Biden, look, is free to do what he wants to do. And on this front, I actually think he may be right. I do think it is dangerous to allow a country like Russia, particularly one that's been always, for so many decades, opposed to American policy in Europe but around the globe as well, and has gone after us every place they can, for us to concede that they can have territory of a sovereign country that they invaded without provocation is not acceptable. We should never let them keep Ukraine, Crimea, the Crimean part of Ukraine under President Obama. We should push back against that. We should have done more under President Biden, and we should be doing more under President Trump now. We should not accept Ukraine giving up its territory, and Ukraine doesn't seem prepared to do that, although they are willing to enter into a ceasefire, which Vladimir Putin now has not been willing to do.
Getting back to this China-Russia, let's say partnership. China has claimed to be a force for global stability, wants to be seen as this global leader. How does this imagery of the visit now to Moscow factor into all of this?
Well, look, it's hard to say you want to be for global stability when you're helping fund a power that's invaded other countries, and you're collaborating with countries like North Korea, which obtain nuclear weapons unlawfully, and Iran, which seeks to obtain nuclear weapons. So there is this collaboration going on between the powers that oppose the United States, Russia, China, most prominently on one hand, but also including Iran, North Korea. If somebody had told you, Kelly, 2-3 years ago that you'd see North Korean troops in Ukraine on behalf of Russia or Iranian military officials helping guide drones, you would never have believed it. And yet that is where we stand today. And it's not an acceptable place. President Trump shouldn't accept it. President Biden shouldn't have accepted it. And unfortunately, that is where we are. And China's only going to get more aggressive if we let them continue to do this stuff.
All right, Jamil Jaffer, always great to have you. Thank you so much for weighing in.
Thanks, Kelly.